Okay, here we go. I'm going to do a review with you, and this time I'm going to work forward to backwards. I just wanted, while we were in class together, to hit those new formulas together before we did the full review. So if you follow along on this page, you're going to do things like this. So I'll do number 4, cosecant pi over 2 minus u. And they just want you to fill in the blank to name the trig function that's equivalent to the expression given. So this is that, let's see, I wrote that parenthesis in the wrong place. This is the cofunction rule, so this is equal to secant u. And move on. So there's that one. And please make sure you take note and look at 7 and 9. And just double check yourself in the back. Make sure you're good at drawing your triangle and finding all 6 trig functions. All right, then we're going to look at the verifying, page 362. You want to look at 11 through 19, odd, and 33 to 57, odd. And just try some, because you never know what type you might need to look at. So I'm going to do number 16 with you. Cosine squared beta minus sine squared beta equals 2 cosine squared beta minus 1. I guess I'm going to work with the left, and I'm trying to get it to cosine, so I'm going to replace sine squared using my Pythagorean identity. Cosine squared beta minus 1 is the same as sine squared. So then when I distribute my negative, minus cosine squared beta plus 1, then I have one of these. Let me work with that again. Sine squared beta plus cosine squared beta equals 1. Sine squared, oops, I wrote that wrong. Sine squared beta is 1 minus cosine squared beta. Let me get that fixed. So replacing this with 1 minus cosine squared beta, distributing my negative, minus 1 plus cosine squared beta. I have one of the cosine squared betas plus another one, so that's 2 cosine squared betas minus 1. And that's what we were going for. And then maybe try one of the more difficult ones. I don't know, I'm going to do 42. Secant theta minus tangent theta times cosecant theta plus 1 equals cotangent theta. When I look at that, I really want to FOIL. None of these are squared, so I'm not going to be able to jump in and use a Pythagorean identity. You'll notice on that yellow sheet above my board, I marked out the ones that weren't squared. So even though it's secant and tangent, which is a great Pythagorean identity, it has to be squared. So how about we just FOIL? We'll get secant theta times cosecant theta first. Outer is plus secant theta. Minus inner is tangent theta, cosecant theta. And last is minus tangent theta. This looks unfriendly at first, but if I switch it to sines and cosines, 1 over cosine times sine, 1 over sine. Plus, let's factor by grouping. Just noticed I have 4 things. Let's group this first part together and factor out a secant. Oh, I would just go backwards. I would just go backwards. All right, so sometimes you can hit a wall. What I'm going to do is from the very beginning, I'm going to change to sines and cosines. So I didn't like foiling. It got me somewhere kind of crazy. So let's switch to sines and cosines. I've got a common denominator here, so it's 1 minus sine theta over cosine theta. And this one, let's put it over 1 and let's butterfly. 1 plus sine theta over sine theta. And when you look at the tops, they are conjugates of each other. So when we multiply these fractions together, we get 1 minus sine squared theta over cosine theta times sine theta. 1 minus sine squared is cosine squared theta. I'm going to split the cosine squared up as cosine theta over cosine theta sine theta. And then I'm just grouping them this way in my head. So that's 1 that's gone. And cosine over sine is cotangent. So I kind of tried 3 different things before I found one that I liked. And you might find yourself doing that too. All right, so let's hit 5-3 now. And this was the last one that we did in class together. This is page 373. I'm looking at 11 through, I know the solutions. Well, I didn't use 0 to 360. Let's look at 17 through 47 odd. So we could do, these are where we solve for the trig function, and we just look them up on the unit circle. So if you're just having trouble with the unit circle, you can hit 17 to 27 just to practice those. And then 29 on, it's a little more work. So how about we do number 30 together? It says solve the equation, and we have square root of 2 sine x plus 1 equals 0. So we're trying to get sine x by itself. So we'll minus 1 and divide by square root of 2. So sine x is negative 1 over square root of 2, and we need to rationalize that. So sine x is negative square root of 2 over 2, which happens at, you can just look on your unit circle. I just don't have one in front of me. Negative 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. And they did not restrict us to the unit circle, so we'll do plus 2n pi. So you could try some of those. And then we're going to hit section 5.4, and this is where it seems to slow down a little bit, page 381, because there were lots of different formulas that we might use. Let's see here. I'm going to look at 49 to 55. And I'm going to do 56. We're going to find cosine u minus b. So if you look that up on your sheet, you find that in the sum and difference formula. And minus is the bottom symbol. So we're using cosine u, cosine b, plus sine u, sine b. And they give us some information. They say sine of u is negative 8/17. And we're in quadrant 3. So quadrant 3, u's at the origin. Sine is -8/17. And they did not use the 3, 4, 5 or the 5, 12, 13. So we do need to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And it's 8, 15, 17. Let me just double check that. 17. 64. Yeah. 8, 15, 17, and that 15 is negative. And there's V information also. V is also in the third quadrant, so sketch it. And it says cosine is -3/5. At least they were nice here. It's a 3, 4, 5, and that's a -4. So all you do is you're just looking at your triangle and finding cosine V, -15/17. I'm sorry, cosine U, and then cosine V, look at the V triangle for the cosine, plus the sine of U, look at the U triangle for your sine, sine V, look at the V triangle for your sine. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of my triangles so I can keep working here. So now we just multiply these fractions, 85 plus 32/85. So that is 77/85, and that's our answer. Next, we're looking over to another page. Let's look on page 3. $390. Let's focus in on 21 to 25. I'll do 26. They want me to find sine 2u, cosine 2u, and tangent 2u. I'm going to do sine 2u. So look that up, and that's 2 sine u cosine u. And then on 26, they gave me some info. They said cosecant u is 3. And u is between pi/2 and pi. So we're going to take that info and sketch our triangle. And if cosecant u is 3, that means that the sine of u is 1/3. So I can get my O and my H. And we do have to do Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. -1. So B is the square root of 8, which is 2 square root of 2. All right. So we have all our sides, and that's a -2 square root of 2. It's a negative x-axis. So we're ready to plug in. So it's 2 times sine of u, which is 1/3, cosine of u, which is -2 square root of 2 over 3. I'm going to get rid of this info right here. So 2 over 1. So 2 times 1 times -2 square root of 2. That's -4 square root of 2 over 15. I put the negative with the numerator on that last fraction. And I don't have to reduce anything. I don't have to rationalize. That's our answer. All right. We're going to hit a different formula. We're going to use half angle formula. So same page. We're going to do number 55 to 59. And I will do 60. Let's do cosine u over 2, because they gave us choices. I'll tell you which one I want you to do. Actually, let's do tangent u over 2. Actually, let's do sine u over 2. I think I did tangent in class. Oh, half angle is the one we didn't have written down. We had to add it to our sheet. Sine u over 2 is plus or minus the square root of 1 minus cosine u over 2. So for 60, they give us information that secant of u is negative 7/2, and we're between pi over 2 and pi. So we're in quadrant 2. If secant is negative 7/2, that means that cosine is negative 2/7. So my cosine is negative 2/7. Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So b squared is 45. So b is 3 square root of 5. And I need the positive root there. All right, there's our term. So sine of u over 2 is plus or minus. We just work with the right side on these. 1 minus cosine u is, oh, we didn't even need, for this one that I chose, we don't even need the opposite side. Cosine is negative 2/7 over 2. Put that 1 over 1. So that's plus or minus 7/7 plus 2/7. That's 9/7 over 2. Make 2 a fraction. Flip and multiply by the reciprocal. So that's plus or minus 9/14. Take the square root of the top and the bottom. That's plus or minus 3 over square root of 14. Rationalize. So that's plus or minus 3 square root of 14 over 14 for your half angle formula. All right, now we're going to do a product to sum, which is also on this page. We spent 2 or 3 days in this section. Use a product to sum. Use a product to sum. Use a product to sum. Okay, I'm looking at 69 to 75. I'm going to do 72. Oops. 72 is 3 sine 2 alpha sine 3 alpha. And they told me to use product to sum. So when I look at the product to sum formula, product to sum, and I make it match, I've got sine sine, sine u, sine v. And that says it's 1/2 bracket cosine parenthesis u minus v minus cosine parenthesis u plus v. All right, so we know what our u and our v are. So it's a 3 just because it's 3 times this product. So just write it down and don't worry about it, and then do your formula. So you got your half, your bracket, your cosine, 2 alpha minus 3 alpha, minus cosine 2 alpha plus 3 alpha. So that's 3 times a half. I'm going to call that 3/2 bracket cosine negative alpha minus cosine 5 alpha. And that's all we'll do. All they want us to do is rewrite. Product to sum. Let's do a sum to product. Same page. Sum to product. Use sum to product. This is 77 to 79. I'm going to do 78, I guess. 78 is sine 3 theta plus sine theta. Use sum to product to write this as a sum or difference as a product. So find sum to product and see the one that matches. It's sine plus sine. So that's sine u plus sine v equal to 2 sine u plus v over 2 sine, cosine u minus v over 2. Make sure you're looking at the right formula and double check it. Okay, so that's just 2 sine. Add them together. Cosine, subtract them. So that's just 2 sine. 3 theta plus theta is 4 theta over 2 is 2 theta. Cosine 3 theta minus theta is 2 theta over 2, which is theta. And that takes us through the end of the test. So I hit one of every type for you. So to go back and practice, you could do an odd in these sections. All right. Hopefully you feel a little better now.